Hello everyone, today we are taking a look at the HDZero new Freestyle 1 watt VTX. This is one of those products that came in while I was on vacation. I think to cover it as quickly as I can. I know I'm not known for making short videos. Nothing has really changed outside of the form factor. Of course, the manufacturing that goes into creating that form factor, that is a change. I've got a thought about that a little bit later. One of the other things that they've made is to where all the connectors are square off the sides. There's nothing sticking out necessarily as far as the internal connector goes. Of course, our external connector is going to stick out off the side a little bit. It's got 20 by 20 mounting holes, which is great because it will adapt to a lot more frames, and it's essentially the size of the old Runcam Link or Vista, whichever name you want to use to describe the old silver HD VTX that we got from DJI. DJI Air Unit might be an appropriate name for that as well. So this is really going to allow HDZero users or people interested in HDZero users to have a much wider scope of frames that they can pick to build. It's also going to allow those people to possibly buy bind and flies that are intended for 03s and just stick this in there. They do include with these kits some strong 3M tape to where you can just stick it on the bottom, hunker that down to your frame. We've seen Vistas in other bind and flies mounted that very same way, and actually gets pretty dang challenging. I actually tore the larger Air Unit, the silver one that had the SD card in it. I had a bind and fly with that in there, and it took quite a bit of effort to get that 3M tape and that old Air Unit to separate. So that 3M tape is good, strong stuff, so you shouldn't worry too much about doing that with this particular VTX. Of course, it supports all the same cameras and modes that the previous and all the other VTXs support. On my scale, it weighs 31.66 grams without the nano camera adapter. One other thing to note about this is, unfortunately, the connector that goes from HDZero, let's see if I can see it with my old eyes, but unfortunately it doesn't match straight up with, say, a flight controller that might run the same sort of connector. The connector's the same, but the pinout on the connector is different from the HDZero to the 03. What I've got here on screen is comparing a connector that goes into an 03, or a flight controller that uses an 03 to where you just plug and play. Unfortunately, it's a little bit off. You know, that's not a deal breaker for many tinkerers or many of us in the DIY hobby, where you can repin those things. You can pluck the wires out and put them back in the right order, or the order that you need them. But that's one more thing that people would have to do in order to incorporate this into an 03 build. I'm hopeful that, I don't know, if we need a V2 with just that change in the cable, is that worthy of V2? I sure hope they don't make that a silent upgrade. We've seen that over the history of FPV as well, to where a company will just change something and then you find out about it after the fact. I do think they need to announce that, because just changing that connector, even though it's kind of a minor thing, but when it comes to someone who wants to do HDZero, but they want to buy a bind and fly designed for an 03, which there are lots of that come without the 03 because of the DJI import or warranty or something to do with DJI. I've got a bug that's flying around my nose. Sorry. It would really open up the market to where more and more people could buy this, buy a bind and fly that's intended with an 03 but doesn't have the 03, and then just plug it in. Of course, they probably need to unlock to get the 1 watt. Maybe match up the firmware between their goggles and the one that's on here, and then off they go and fly. I think that would really help the market out. It would help a lot of individuals be able to adopt if they were to adopt, or I think it's, obviously I've gone on for probably 2 minutes. I think it's a good thing to do for others who are interested in the product, but I would like to see it announced to where when the cable changes that we all kind of know, or for people who bought one right away to be able to buy a new cable that is compatible with just plugging into a flight controller that's intended to plug in an 03 Air Unit. Just like on previous iterations, we do have the ability to secure down our antenna. Of course, if your antenna gets hung up on something and it's secured down, it's going to pull something off, right? It's got to. Once the antenna is clasped together and you've got a metal piece over there. I think that's desired by the community. But being a micro guy, I do kind of worry about all those pictures where I see of people that have pulled the connector right off the board. So we'll have to see about that. And that kind of brings me to another point. When something has been remanufactured. Essentially, as far as I know, they're using all the same components. They've just reorganized them into a 2-layer stack. You would think that doesn't change too much, but one of the things that occurred to me is that it's a remanufacturing process. So we have to go back and kind of reset our expectations as far as not just how this works as far as our reception goes. That's probably going to be the same. But what could be different is the reliability and durability. And there's no way to really know that until we get more and more of these out in the wild, more and more of these tested and, you know, being flown and having fun, and unfortunately having crashes, to where we get more and more of those reports back. So if you're watching this video way down the line and you've been flying one or more of the new Square Freestyle from HDZero, and you've had good results, or you've had not so good results, or you've been very unhappy with your results, whatever the case may be, I would like to know. This isn't a VTX that I would probably use all that much, just mainly because when it comes to my space, I don't need 1 watt. That's the main reason why. I do think it's relatively micro-friendly, but I think we'd want to have at least a 3-inch prop. Can you do a smaller prop? Yeah, but I don't know why you would. I think this particular VTX, at the weight of almost 31.5 grams, or a little bit over 31.5 grams, really belongs in a 3-inch prop and larger sort of quad. But I just want to kind of stop in and make that little bit of almost a product announcement, I guess you might call it. I think this is the way to go, that this is the way to go forward. The only change that I think that they should make from here, at least the ones that I can see now, you can suggest what you have, is to make that cable just more compatible with flight controllers that are looking to accept that 03 connector on them. That's the one change I would like to see right out of the box. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.